So I wanted to hear a little bit more about some of your facts and fallacies, especially the cardio burning fat and the strength training. Tell us a little bit more about that because I think we all need some more information.
Sounds good. So one of the myths out there is that cardio burns fat and strength training builds muscle. It's partially true, but there's more to it. Yes, cardio burns fat, but cardio also burns muscle. Cardio is great for burning fat, but if you do it exclusively, it will burn muscle as well, especially at high volumes. What do we mean by high volumes? Anything above 3 times per week, 30 minutes. Anything above that, it will burn muscle. Okay? Why do we not want to burn muscle? Muscle burns calories. Muscle is something called metabolically active tissue. Muscle increases your metabolism. Decrease your muscle and you slow down your metabolism. Not exactly a desirable effect for weight loss. Furthermore, you decrease your muscle, it sets you up for a rebound effect. So let's say you had 20 pounds of fat to lose, you lost those 20 pounds of fat in addition to, let's say, 3 pounds of muscle. Well, how long can you really do cardio for? 4 days a week, 5 days a week for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Not very long. Eventually, something called life happens and you have to go off your workout regimen. Well, you lost 3 pounds of muscle, you lost 20 pounds of fat, of course. Well, what happens now? Now you're not doing cardio, but you're eating the same way, probably. You are setting yourself up to gain more than the weight that you lost. And most of it will be more fat. So your body fat will be higher than to begin with. That is why you want to, if you are going to exercise during fat loss, prioritize strength training. Do not eliminate cardio, but prioritize strength training. And more than anything, there's something called a fat loss hierarchy. What activities give you the biggest bang for your buck? What has the greatest effect? What has the least effect? By far, regardless of cardio, regardless of weights, the most important thing absolutely is diet. Okay? There's a saying in fitness, you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. Let's put some numbers to this. Let's say you are on the treadmill for an hour, you burn a good 400 or 500 calories, and that's a very, very good workout. You feel good about yourself, you deserve a reward. You go to a certain fast food restaurant, you have a hamburger, large fries, and let's say medium Coke. You just put 1,100 calories back into your body after burning about 500 or even 400.
That's a deficit.
That's a deficit, exactly. So again, the lesson is you cannot out-exercise a bad diet. You absolutely have to address your diet first and foremost. If you're not losing weight, chances are it's not your exercise. Chances are it is your diet. Now, let's assume your diet is taken care of. Only then should you start looking at training, whether cardio or strength training. Now, so like I mentioned, diet is number one on the hierarchy. What's below that? I'm going to go with strength training as opposed to cardio. A lot of listeners are going to be surprised. After all, doesn't cardio burn fat? Doesn't strength training make you big, bulky, and muscly? Masculine? There's more to it. If you strength train correctly, with good technique, with the right loading parameters, in other words, sets, repetitions, and using the right exercises, strength training can go a long way towards helping you build muscle or maintain muscle. Usually, unless you're a pure beginner, the best you can hope for under caloric deficit is the maintenance of muscle. Okay, so what do you do in terms of strength training to enhance your fat loss efforts? You want to choose exercises that use multiple joints, okay? So nothing that uses one joint, or at least minimize the stuff that uses one joint, like a bicep curl, for example, like a tricep kickback or tricep extensions. They're great for general exercise, but if you want to really stimulate as much muscle as possible in as little time as possible, you want to use exercises like push-ups, squats, and if you can't do push-ups, for example, you can do push-ups leaning against a wall, push-ups on an incline, push-ups on your knees, and don't be afraid to do push-ups on your knees if you are a gentleman. No shame in that. It burns a lot of calories. Fantastic exercise. Lat pull downs. This works the muscles of your back, of your biceps. So really, in about 3 exercises, you just covered almost 100% of your body's muscle mass. And that speeds up your metabolism much more than working each muscle individually. Now, that's the exercises. In my mind, exercise selection is only secondary to repetition selection. Almost any exercise will work as long as you are doing the correct number of repetitions. So number of repetitions and number of sets is the number one factor you should consider. How many repetitions should you be doing? There is no true guideline, I would go with 15 to 20 as a baseline, and let me explain the rationale behind that. Anything that takes between 45 and 60 seconds, that's what you want. It just so happens that for most people, 15 to 20 repetitions will fall in the 45 to 60 second range. If you're doing slower repetitions, that's perfectly fine as long as it falls into the 45 to 60 second range. If you're doing higher repetitions, that's perfectly fine as long as it falls into that 45 to 60 second range. What's magical about that range? There are two fuel sources that your body burns to stay alive. One is sugar. We call it glycogen, glucose, carbohydrates. The other is fat. Okay? Take away one fuel source and you're only left with one fuel source to burn. Okay? So when you're doing strength training between 45 and 60 seconds, you are burning primarily sugar, glycogen, carbohydrates, glucose. So after doing enough exercise in that time zone, you have burned a sufficient amount of carbohydrates to shift your metabolism primarily to fat. And that is why I recommend specifically 45 to 60 seconds. Anything that lasts 45 to 60 seconds will get the job done. And then only after your strength training should you address your cardio. So if you're doing 3 days of strength training, you can add 1 or 2 days of cardio. Okay.
Wow. Well, I think we're going to have to speak a little bit more in depth about this because that's a lot of information.
That's right. And we're winding down for our show. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Igor.
And this is Audrey.
And if you have any questions for next week, please give us a call at 1-877-660-0360 or log on to our website at acmedianetwork.com/Healthwise.
Thanks so much. See you in 2 weeks.
See you then.